So the Ronin have a master, huh?
Damn, son, you ever shut up? We're going to war, and I need you in my crew.
Why? The Necrus are the real threat, not the Axon.
They started this, wanting our Teridium. And we need their gear if we're going to flex on the Necrus.
Fine. We'll be ready.
Huzzah! I hope all you 360 FPS Twitch gamers out there are doing a little dance of joy right now, because Unreal Tournament 3 is finally here. Now, it's done fantastically well in sales figures and reviews on the PC and PS3, and having tried it out on the 360, this release definitely deserves to continue that trend. First up, the engine deserves adoration, kisses, and little fluffy teddy bears to be sacrificed in its name. It's a solid and responsive game, and the graphics look fantastic with no pop-in or stutter, despite the level of detail and frenetic pace of gameplay. The design is also top-notch, with guns, vehicles and maps all aesthetically strong, eminently playable and nicely varied. 360 players also get 2 new characters and 5 new maps, bringing the total number of maps split over the various modes to a whopping 55. There are 6 different match modes: Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, Vehicle Capture the Flag, Warfare and Duel. The new Warfare mode is a really cool development of the old Onslaught game type. In simplest terms, each team is trying to attack the other's power core, and to do this you must first gain control of power nodes to make that core vulnerable. This multi-layered objective ensures a highly dynamic match with lots of different strategic options available to different team members, and it can be dressed up in various different circumstances to create very different games. The other new match type is Vehicle Capture the Flag, a nice variation which not only gets you to play around in some kick-ass vehicles, which all feel very different, but also puts you in a much more expansive map. In all games where there are vehicles, you'll automatically get a hoverboard map to your X button, so you're not stuck running for 10 minutes to catch up with the action every time you respawn. And gameplay is fantastic. Now, some people will whinge about not being able to plug a mouse and keyboard into their 360 like you can with the PS3, and yes, changing weapons or manoeuvring vehicles is the tiniest bit more clunky, but in general the controls have been scaled to the 360 absolutely brilliantly, and you can tune the controller quite subtly to your preferences, so I really don't think you miss it. It's very responsive and the pace is spot on, fast and furious, and sustained by a liberal amount of weapons and health and ammo pickups. And a little word about the guns. In a lot of FPS games, I tend to find one gun I like and stick to it, but here the weapons are all so nicely designed that while the Link gun is definitely my mainstay, I find myself switching around between the others a lot more. As well as playing with instant action, then there's also a campaign mode which supports online or local co-op. The story isn't fantastic, and it's still essentially a bunch of matches strung together with cutscenes, but it does serve to flesh out the world and its characters a bit, and will give your matches objectives and context, which is kind of cool.
Name's Malcolm. Reaper. Izanagi hired me to run special ops.
That can't be cheap.
And while never quite as intense as playing with or against other real people, the AI is really very good. And with 4 difficulty levels to campaign and 8 AI proficiency settings in instant action, you can also fine-tune it to quite a high degree. You'll definitely get a lot more out of this game if you take it online, but for those who aren't subscribed, the AI is good enough that it won't be a wasted purchase. And of course, you can play local multiplayer too, and on the 360 you get an exclusive 2-player split screen option. It's a bit squashed for my liking, but nice to have the option. So, downsides? Well, it's not really Epic's fault, but the 360 version suffers from Microsoft's policy of not allowing user-generated content, a particularly strong blow as the number of game types is less than previous Unreal Tournament games. And while the matches themselves are full of adrenaline-pumping action, the victory screens are a little anticlimactic in most modes. In Warfare, you see your opponent's core exploding, and something like that would have been appreciated for Deathmatch and others. But this really is nitpicking at what is a fantastic game that just feels right. It'll give fans of FPS multiplayer matches hours and hours of fun. Yes, it just sneaks in there. It's a 5-star game.